Hey lovely sexy gaming people. So today's video is going to be a video about some figures I've recently bought off of Etsy from Otts Workshop. They've got a website, ottsworkshop.co.uk, and they 3D print a lot of miniatures. So I've been partaking in a D&D campaign. And I ordered some figures. So I ordered like a couple of packs of villager figures. I ordered a pack of barmaids, and I ordered an owlbear. Now there is a slight discrepancy with what I received, but I'm not too worried about that because for some reason I ended up with 2 extra figures, even though I'm missing one. 3 extra figures actually, even though I'm missing one. Now, to begin with, I was looking at figures that I could use for a tavern setting. So I picked up, there was a pack which included the sort of like proprietor and proprietess for a D&D tavern sort of thing. So we've got these 2 figures here. And what I've done is they came supplied off the base. All I've done is super glued some wood just to give the effect that it's a tavern floor, and then super glued the miniatures to it. So we've got these 2, and then the 2 barmaids that I received were, there's this one that's kind of sat posed on a barrel, and then this one who's carrying a tray of ales, and they're both mini skirted, probably not accurate for D&D. I am missing another one, but like I say, not a major problem. So these were supposed to be a set of 3 on their own. Some of the other figures that came with everything that I ordered, that I've decided to put in the tavern set, were a woman with a broom. So these are all sort of like 28 millimeter ish figures. I'll show you how well they go side by side. So this is Eowyn from the Lord of the Rings range, and this is a figure, one of the miniatures. So, and the barkeep. So that's kind of like height wise. So we then have a chef. So if your tavern has a kitchen, we got this chef kind of standing menacingly with his meat cleaver there. We then have a bard that you could, bard sat on a stool playing a lute, that you could have in the tavern if you so wished. And then there's this character which I've decided, so I've got 4 characters here which can go in as part of the tavern, I feel, as workers within the tavern. 3 workers, 1 not, and we'll come on to her actually in a sec. But the 3 workers that could go in the tavern is this guy who's carrying a keg with a tap on it, so he could be a tavern worker. There's this guy carrying a large barrel, who could be bringing a barrel to the bar for a refill. And then there's this guy with a pig under his arm and a meat cleaver, who could be working in the tavern kitchens along with our chef. Now, the D&D campaign that I'm doing, we're doing ships. So I also feel that these 3 miniatures could be miniatures like just to populate a ship. So this guy could be carrying gunpowder to one of the cannon. This guy could be walking around providing water to the sailors on deck, and then this guy could be the ship's cook, slaughtering one of the livestock in the galley. Now the other one is this one, which I think she could be kind of like an assassin, because she's just sat, the way she was posed, I decided to make like a little balustrade to have her lean against that, but she's got a dagger in one hand, and I felt that she would make maybe a good assassin. Now she could be just leaning against a balustrade or something within the tavern, or she could be leaning against the, are they the gunwales or whatever it is, the sides of the ships on deck. She could be leaning against that. So again, that's another one that I felt could quite happily populate either the tavern or the ship, depending on the scenario. Now, if we move our tavern folk to the side, there were a number of other people. So we have some people that could be like just populating a village. So we've got a fisherman here. And these are all 3D printed. They're actually quite clean. There were still some supports attached when I received them. Just a guy walking with a little shoulder bag. We've got a woman with a basket, and let me just see. Yeah, and a child. We have a peddler with his wares strapped to his back. We then have a chap with 2 pumpkins under his arms. So he could be either a market trader if you found a stall, you know, with fruit and veg stall, or he could be somebody that's just purchased 2 pumpkins because it's Halloween. We have a woodworker, carpenter. He's got a few planks of wood there. Okay, just walking along. We then have a young maiden skipping along with her shopping basket there. And then we have a young lad kind of running as well. So those are kind of like the villagers. A couple of the other things which I think could go in with like just populating a village scene. We've got a beggar here with his staff and his hand outstretched even. And then I have this beggar who's actually sat down. Now I haven't glued him to a base yet because I haven't decided what I'm going to put underneath him, whether I just do a like a dirt base, or maybe cut some stone out of some plasticard, and so, you know, he's maybe like sat at the porch steps of a church or something, asking for alms for the poor. Then there were a number of figures that could be construed as farm folk, and they are basically, we've got a shepherdess with her shepherd's crook. We have a woman that looks like she could be throwing breadcrumbs for chickens or ducks. We have a what could be described as a milkmaid, who is obviously, she's just milked the cows and taking the milk in the pails, probably to the churning shed. We then have some people which could be working in the field. So this guy's got a fork here, you know, so he could be gathering hay up to throw up on the hay wagon. We then have two guys here with scythes, for which could be in the fields harvesting. And we then have a young maiden here running with her fork. I'm still going to put this in on the farm, even though she could, you know, be battling monsters in a village setting. We then have somebody chopping wood. Now he could be in either a village setting, a town setting, or, you know, or just out the front of somebody's home chopping wood for their fireplace, etc. But he comes in two parts. Now I've had to set him right back on the base in order to allow the wood that he's chopping to kind of like get halfway on the base. And I'll paint up the chopping block and him separate, and then I'll glue this to the base, and then I'll add the basing material. We then have, coming back to the village, we then have a couple of blacksmiths. So we've got this blacksmith who's carting around an anvil and his big hammer, and then this guy who's working at the anvil, and they're both really nice miniatures. Now, I've got some miniatures here that I haven't glued to bases yet, and the reason I haven't glued them to bases yet is because I haven't decided what base I'm going to do for them. Now, I have a washerwoman here, which could be part of the tavern crew, you know, washing your clothes might be a service that the tavern offers. So I could do her on a wooden base, or she could be a worker within a noble household, in which case, you know, if she's working in the kitchens or just off the kitchen area of a noble household, manor house, it may be that she's working on a stone flagged floor. So I have, like I say, I haven't decided what sort of base I'm going to put her on. Now this one is a woman at a spinning wheel, which is really great, but she's a little big for a 25mm base, as you can see. So I may just leave her as is. We then have possibly a nobleman here. Okay, he's got his, he could be a trader, a nobleman trader. He's got his fingers arched together. We then have potential another nobleman here. He kind of reminds me of Elrond, actually, a little bit. So this guy, and again, base wise, I think I'm going to put them on stone flagged bases. We then have two guys that could be seen as church orientated. Obviously a priest here and a potential monk here. Oops, come back. So you can see both of those. Nicely done. They are nicely rendered miniatures. And again, church, I'm thinking a stone flagged floor. And then there's this guy, which again reminds me of a friar or something like that. But he could also be a cultist or something, or maybe a cultist leader or something like that. Cultist priest. Okay, so looking at those. Then there's two other miniatures which I'm probably not going to put onto a base at this time because I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to use them. So the first one is a painter with a palette. Okay, and I would obviously either have to put a big easel with a picture on, or maybe him stood against the wall painting a fresco or something like that. And then we got the jester, this court jester. Now I do know that I can get a miniature of I'm assuming this jester, but in zombie form, which I think would be great for D&D, because D&D you do get zombies, and I just think that would be funny, having your jester, a zombie jester. So that's those. And then the last two miniatures that I ordered were that came with these sets are two what I'm going to call rangers. So we've got a female ranger with her bow and an arrow nocked. And then we've got a male ranger kneeling down as if he's tracking. So now I also ordered an owlbear, and I love this. So here's the owlbear. Size wise, if we were to stand our ranger next to the owlbear, here's your size comparison. Okay, so there's your female ranger, there's your owlbear, that's your size comparison. Now he came supplied with a 50mm base, but I felt the 50mm base was a bit short, so what I've done is I've added a stone onto the front, and I'm probably going to model it so that once he's painted I'll glue him to the base, so he's got his front paw resting on the stone, and then one paw off, and then his two back feet will obviously make contact with the base at the rear. And that's kind of how I'm going to go, how I'm going to roll with the owlbear. So these are all really nice miniatures. You know, the owlbear, the feathering on the owlbear is just amazing. I'm really looking forward to painting this guy. I think I can get some really nice colours down, colour graduation down on his feathers, and I think he'll look really great. But there's two figures here that I didn't plan for, and these look like, I don't know, maybe elf maidens, maybe, but one's playing a violin and the other one has like a harp, so musicians of some sort. Obviously wasn't expecting these, but I'm assuming that these came in place of the barmaid that I'm missing, the tavern wench that I'm missing. So these look quite good. I haven't quite figured out what use I'm going to have for these. Now these came already glued to the base, and there was another miniature which was already glued to a base, which is this girl sat on the barrel. So I just gently prized her off the base and then laid down the wood floorboards and then stuck her back on. But then, like I say, I got it came in this little bag. It says "I am free," and it was this kind of chaos knight with spiky armor, and that's really nice. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this delivery. The figures are fantastic. I can't wait to start getting them painted up. I might try and do maybe just for one or two of them painting videos, but we'll see. But as you can see, there were quite a few. There's quite a few that can, you know, cross over or, you know, be used for more than one kind of scenario, I feel. And we've got, like with the maiden doing the washing, you know, and things like that. it could quite happily populate a manor house, that sort of thing, etc. But yeah, there you go. I'll post a link in the description to Otts Workshop. You can find them on Etsy. They do an awful lot of miniatures. I will be ordering some more from them because I think that these miniatures were fab. And as for scale, you know, they come in quite nicely. They'll come in quite nicely with other sort of like 28mm miniatures. But next to Airwin, as you can see, they do quite well. So there you have it. Let me know what you think of these in the comments, and I will speak to you soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.